They didn't call his name. They didn't plan for him to shine. But when Shadore Sanders finally stepped onto the field against the Browns' top defense, something shifted. You could feel it. Like the air got heavier. Every throw, every move, it felt like a test, and he passed it without saying a word. No one expected it. But now, no one can ignore it. He wasn't working with the starters. He didn't have star receivers running routes for him, but he didn't need them. He stood in the pocket, read the defense, and made throws that looked way too calm for a guy who's barely been given a real shot. The moment wasn't too big for him. In fact, it looked like the moment finally caught up to him, because he's been ready. For weeks, people questioned if he belonged. Today, he answered without opening his mouth. He didn't try to make highlight plays, he made smart ones. The kind that move chains and build trust. He played real football, and he did it against the very guys he was supposedly not ready for. Don't forget to subscribe to Red Zone Report for more powerful NFL stories. And let's get this straight, this wasn't just another practice rep. This was a message to the coaching staff, to the front office, to the entire locker room. You've got a quarterback on your hands, and you've been keeping him on the shelf like he's some project. That ends today. Because once a guy shows you he can handle real pressure with real results, the excuses run out. So now we ask, what exactly makes Shedeur different from the rest? And why does his game quietly match what NFL teams say they're always looking for? Let's get into it. Shedeur doesn't play loud. He doesn't rush throws or panic under pressure. What he does is keep the game simple, and that's what makes him dangerous. His pocket control is smooth, his eyes stay calm, and he's always one step ahead of the defense. You can tell he's thinking fast but moving slow. That's a rare trait, especially for a young quarterback with limited reps. He doesn't have the biggest arm in the building, but he doesn't need it. What stands out is how he places the ball. Short throws, sideline fades, quick reads in the middle, he gets it there without overdoing it. And more importantly, he doesn't take unnecessary risks. While other QBs are forcing passes into tight windows, Shedeur is taking what the defense gives and turning it into progress. This is the kind of game that lasts in the NFL. Quarterbacks who stay healthy, make smart reads, and don't try to play hero ball every drive are the ones who stick around. He's not chasing highlight plays, he's chasing wins. And that mindset is something you can't teach. It either shows up on the field or it doesn't. With Shedeur, it's there every snap. And when you watch the tape, the proof is clear. He doesn't get rattled by pressure. He shifts in the pocket with purpose, not panic. He sees lanes before they open. That's the difference between a player with potential and a player who's ready. And right now, Shedeur looks more ready than half the names above him on the depth chart. The Browns' quarterback situation doesn't make sense right now. Shadore Sanders just had one of the strongest showings in camp, yet he's still buried behind names that haven't done nearly as much. It's not about performance anymore. It looks like a loyalty issue. The coaches keep rotating the same guys up front, while Shedeur keeps doing more with less and still gets overlooked. Even with Kenny Pickett injured, there hasn't been a clear push to move Shedeur up. That alone tells you something is off. If a player steps up when others go down, you usually reward that. But the Browns are treating it like a closed door, protecting the current depth chart instead of letting the best player rise. It feels like they're afraid to admit he's making a real case. This isn't about rushing a rookie. It's about giving him a fair shot. You can't expect growth if you keep feeding a young quarterback second-team snaps with backup receivers. That's not development, that's delay. And when the better option is sitting right in front of you, that delay turns into a mistake. At this point, Shedeur isn't asking for a handout. He's earning it day by day. But if the Browns keep pretending he hasn't done enough, they're not just hurting his chances, they're hurting the team's future. Dylan Gabriel keeps getting chances, but his play hasn't matched the trust. He might know the system, but knowing and executing are two different things. In camp, he's been inconsistent. One good throw, then one bad decision. Today was another example. His stats might look decent on paper, but anyone watching saw a pass that should have been intercepted. The defender just dropped it. Size is becoming an issue too. Gabriel struggles when bigger defenders push the pocket. He has trouble seeing over the line and tends to rush his throws when the pressure comes. That's a problem in the NFL, where defensive lines move faster and hit harder. It's not about toughness. It's about whether your game holds up when the field gets tight and crowded. The concerning part is how often he forces the ball. He tries to squeeze throws in the spots that aren't open. It's the kind of habit that turns into turnovers on Sundays. That doesn't mean he can't improve, but right now it's hard to watch him get first-team work while someone like Shedeur, who protects the ball and stays calm, keeps getting passed over. It's not about rooting against Gabriel. It's about seeing what's actually happening in practice. The Browns need to decide if they care more about sticking to the plan or adjusting based on performance, because right now, Gabriel is proving that this job is wide open, and if the staff aren't paying attention, they're going to miss what's right in front of them.
When Shadore Sanders fell in the draft, it wasn't because of his game. It was because of outside noise. Teams didn't want the attention that came with his name. Some thought his background would bring distractions, even though he never caused any. The decision had nothing to do with his football ability and everything to do with false assumptions. Nick Saban was surprised he dropped. Analysts like Mel Kiper Jr. expected him to go early. The only reason he didn't? Teams didn't want to deal with the spotlight, the headlines, or the narrative. But now that he's in camp, working quietly and performing better than expected, all those concerns look foolish. What's impressive is how Shedeur has handled it. He hasn't complained, he hasn't called anyone out. He just went to work. No ego, no drama, just football. That silence is powerful. It proves he's not chasing headlines, he's chasing a role on the field. And every day, he's making that role harder to deny. The league passed on him once. The Browns are doing the same right now. But there's only so long you can keep ignoring someone who's outplaying the names ahead of him. This isn't about proving people wrong anymore. It's about proving he should have been the guy from the start. Today's reps told the full story. Shedeur went 6 for 10. And while the numbers don't scream headlines, the plays behind them did. On one of his first throws, he stepped into the pocket and delivered a clean ball to Brandon Bates in the flat. It wasn't a big gain, but it was smart football, taking what the defense gave and keeping the drive alive. Later, he was back under center after Flacco and Pickett took their turns. This time, he got decent blocking from the second unit. That's when he rolled slightly and threw off his back foot, landing a perfect strike to Gage Lavardin for what would have been a clear first down. Even with pressure closing in, his throw stayed on target. These weren't just lucky completions. They were controlled, smart decisions in real-time speed. He didn't try to force deep shots or show off. He played clean football, moved the chains, and did exactly what a reliable backup or even starter should do. It's the kind of showing that makes coaches take a second look at the tape. Once he went back with the second team, he didn't drop off. He stayed steady, made the right reads, and kept his foot on the gas. Even though none of the plays made headlines, the total effort looked better than most first-team reps we've seen this week. That's what sets him apart. His game doesn't fall apart when the spotlight dims. The Browns are dealing with more than just a quarterback dilemma. Injuries are starting to pile up on defense. Martin Emerson's injury hit hard. He was having one of the best camps on the team, and losing him shifted everything. As soon as he went down, Greg Newsome had to move outside, and Ronnie Hickman slid into the nickel. The defense has been reshuffling ever since. That kind of shakeup creates a ripple effect. Players like Jenkins, Edmonds, and others had to step into new roles fast. Even Grant Delpit hasn't been seen much in practice lately, reportedly getting extra rest. When your starters are dropping and depth is being tested, you can't afford slow decisions at quarterback. Every spot matters even more now. Meanwhile, the defensive line has been one of the few bright spots. Mason Graham is becoming nearly unblockable, and Carson Swenger has shown great instincts in the open field. But even with that, the unit is under pressure. When your offense isn't settled and your defense is already banged up, you leave your team in a tough spot. The Browns can't keep acting like they have time to figure this out. Injuries are forcing players to adapt, and the coaching staff needs to do the same. If the defense is adjusting on the fly, the offense can't afford to stay stuck in the same rotation, especially when the quarterback depth chart clearly needs a shakeup. Shedeur doesn't talk much, but everyone sees the way he works. He's usually one of the first players in the building and one of the last to leave. That kind of effort doesn't go unnoticed, especially in a camp full of guys fighting for jobs. Teammates have started to respect his approach, not just for his talent, but for how seriously he takes every single day. When you lose a key player like Emerson, guys look for leadership. And even though Shedeur isn't the starter, he's slowly become one of those steady voices. He doesn't need to give speeches or show emotion. His focus and work speak louder than words. That's something coaches can't force. Players either have it or they don't. You can feel it on the field. Players block harder when he's behind center. Receivers stay sharper on their routes. There's a different energy around him, and it's not hype, it's trust. The locker room sees that he prepares like a pro and stays humble. That's not easy when you're fighting for every rep, but that's what leaders do. He might not be listed as QB1 yet, but in the minds of many inside that building, he's already earned that kind of respect. And sometimes that's how real starters rise, not through press releases, but through quiet control and solid play. Shedeur isn't chasing a spotlight. He's earning a role, and everyone around him knows it. Blessings to all my Red Zone Report subscriber family. Your support means everything. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and I'll catch you in the next one.